It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Get gifting in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Ho, ho, ho! It's the most magical and hectic time of the year. This holiday, spend less time stressing and more time celebrating with a little help from Hy-Vee. Let Hy-Vee do the cooking with delicious heat and serve meals, hot appetizers, and party trays. Skip the mall and shop Hy-Vee for amazing gifts, including dozens of popular gift cards, Chiefs apparel for the whole family, home decor, cosmetics, wine, and spirits. Just one stop to make Christmas magic at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee.
This is Stephen St. John from my friends at Hy-Vee. There's so many gift options for the Chiefs fan in my life, gift baskets, flowers, wine, spirits, gift cards, stocking stuffers, and more. Especially for my daughters. They love nail polish, bath bombs, the works, and I get plenty at Hy-Vee to make everyone in my family happy. And with my H Plus Premium membership, I earn fuel savings for every dollar I spend. Free items every month, and I can have my purchases delivered for free. You should try it too. Just go to Hy-Vee.com/plus to sign up.
WHB Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott, producer Todd Surprise, Drake back at Sports Radio 810, running the dials. Kirk Elliott, myself, sitting here. We are the Racing Boys. How you doing, Kirk? You doing all right today?
I'm doing great. This is our last show of the year.
It is. How about
I'm
that?
going to take next 2 weeks off.
Man.
You need the vacation, too, by the way.
Well, you know.
More than me.
You say that. I've done 312 episodes this year. How about that?
You didn't take any time off either.
Not many nights. No, not many days. So 312 episodes. That's a record.
6 days a week.
6 days a week. Yeah, it's been a pretty good time.
I only did this about 1 day a week. I'd sit in on your show a couple times.
Yeah, you'd sit on Mondays and Fridays. You'd hang out with me a little bit.
I didn't work near as hard as you did.
Well,
I'll admit that.
It is what it is. We are going to be going to a 1 day a week now, starting on the 9th of January. We will be trimming back mostly motorsports to 1 day a week.
More to my schedule.
Yeah. And you're going to be a part of the show, too, right, Kurt?
Yeah, as long as it's 1 day a week. Yeah,
right.
I'll be that. You know, if everybody knows that's listening to this show, I've been wanting to retire.
Right.
Not retire being a race fan.
No.
I'll always be a race fan till I die. But I was just backing down from a lot of the heavy-duty stuff that we were involved in for so many years.
Well, for people that don't know, Kirk and I did the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour for 13 years. We did the Chili Bowl for 16 years. And, you know, the combination.
You did all the heavy lifting.
Well, I was out on the road.
Yeah.
But you did a lot of work behind the scenes.
Sure.
A lot of head work, just a lot of work, making sure everything worked really well while we were out on the road.
At the home base, somebody had to make sure it all worked.
You sat in the studio a lot, didn't you?
You were the road warrior, and I was the home buddy that made sure everything worked on this end.
Right.
So we did that for a lot of years. We had fun doing it, but, hey, I'm getting old.
Hey, Kirk, let me ask you this. Do you miss doing the Chili Bowl? No.
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 But
no.
I will say this.
I miss
the income.
Yeah.
I miss the money, and I miss also seeing the people.
Right.
There's
no doubt. I miss the people,
There's
too.
I will say this. I'm still going to the Chili Bowl.
Right.
Because if I didn't go, I'd miss being there.
Right.
But as far as the other stuff, doing all that we did down there, now we'll gladly hand that off to the younger crowd.
That's
Flow
exactly
racing
right.
and all that can have fun doing that.
Well, listen, we did all right. We sold the rights to Flow, and we're doing okay.
It's all good.
Everything's
all
all
right.
right.
Last year we went down to Chili Bowl, and I haven't had so much fun down there in so many years that
you walked around and did your thing, didn't you?
Yeah, it was just kind of fun hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to do that for a lot of years.
You're not going to go to the shootout this year, though, are you?
Probably
Probably not.
I don't know yet. I don't think so.
Right.
That's still to
The
be determined.
The Tulsa shootout, for people that don't know, those are 15-hour days.
Yes, sir.
And they are a grind. And to sit there and watch micro racing for 15 hours a day for 5 or 6 days is just, it just wears you out.
Well, how about all the camera operators that had to stand
Right.
for all that amount of time?
Yeah. No
Those
doubt.
were the guys that did more than you and me. We could at least sit down every once in a while.
Right, no doubt. Yeah. Kirk, the big news, I think, of the week is Eldora is going to be paying $1 million to win the sprint car race at Eldora on July 12th and 13th. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's big-time news, and we talked about this earlier this year when the $1 million late model race was running back in June.
We were whipping it, trying to get this
Yeah.
to happen.
Hey, late model crowd got the big money headed their way. They're
Right.
probably the first form of dirt racing that had big-time money put into that type of racing,
Right.
and we were questioning, what about the sprint car guys?
Right.
Well, Tony Stewart has stepped up. He's a sprint car guy. Said, yeah, we've done this for the late models. We got to do it for the sprint cars, too, and that's what's going to happen the week of the King's Royal in July.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, you remember, they had the historical big one. They revived that after 19 years. And this year, it's in 2023, it's going to be
$1.4 million
Right.
up for grabs.
Eldora Million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest payday ever. We thought earlier that Houston Speedway with High Bank Nationals $250,000 win
Right.
was going to be the big-time payday in 2023, but nope. Tony Stewart stepped it up, and Eldora Speedway will be hosting the Eldora Million on July 13th.
$1 million to win, $100,000 for second, $50,000 for third, $25,000 for fourth, $15,000 for fifth, $6,000 to start the race.
And it's a non-sanctioned event. This is not a World of Outlaw event. It's
Right.
a non-sanctioned event, and Flow Racing will be carrying the live video of those 2 nights of racing. The King's Royal is still a World of Outlaws event, and Dirt Vision will be carrying that event.
That's kind of odd, isn't it? Dirt Vision and Flow kind of working together a little bit.
It is. Is
A
kind of
little bit
but,
different, isn't it?
Dirt Vision does all the World of Outlaw events.
Right. We had some other breaking news this week, Kirk, and the big story I think that we found out this week, and we're going to play an interview here in a little bit from Darren Bennett, the general manager from Lakeside Speedway. News has it that in 2024, the plans are to bring late models back to weekly racing at Lakeside Speedway. What'd you think about that?
Well, Darren Bennett, the general manager of Lakeside, as you pointed out,
Right.
announced that yes, we will be running a late model class next year, meaning 2024.
Right.
They tried to put something together with the Malvern Bank Late Model Series
This year.
that's no longer running on a regular basis. Those cars, anyway, the Malvern Bank type late model cars that used to run at I-80 Speedway, but I-80 Speedway is no more, so he thought, why not allow a lot of those guys to come to Kansas City and race at Lakeside Speedway? They just couldn't put it together for 2024, but he said they will be running some type of late models. He didn't commit to that
Right.
type of late model, but it could be a crate late model.
Right.
But either way, he said we will be running late models in 2024.
Joe Kosiski and his series up there, they've done a really good job with that series, and they've came and raced at Lakeside Speedway several times over the years.
Right.
And I think that model that they have there, where they can run different types of motors, different kinds of weights, I think that would work best for them out at Lakeside Speedway. You could run a crate, you can run a super late model motor, and they just add weight and adjust the weight on the race cars.
Isn't there RPM limitations on those engines too?
I'm not sure if
I
there
don't
is an RPM
I'm not
limitations
exactly
on the motors or not.
what the rules are, but the Malvern Bank Late Model Series is going to be at Lakeside Speedway for the Jayhawk Modified Classic,
Right.
featuring the USMTS Modifieds the weekend of when NASCAR comes to town in early May next year. Malvern Bank Late Models will be part of the USMTS show those 3 days in early May. of
And
next
what
year.
people don't understand is back in the day, even in the pavement days, Kirk, to be honest with you, late models were king at Lakeside Speedway. And back in the early days when I was growing up, going to I-70 Speedway when it was dirt, Lakeside, back in the old days when it was over at 99th and Leavenworth Road, Lakeside ruled with late models. Joe Kosiski, Gene Claxton, Ed Kosiski. We saw a lot of great drivers that ran over there with the late models at Lakeside Speedway. And I don't know about you, Kirk, but I think that this is bringing back tradition to Lakeside Speedway. Would you agree with me on that?
It is, but, you know, it's going to take some time to build up a good field of late models. That's just
It's
not going to
happen
overnight.
overnight.
No, and
Uh-uh.
I question just how many guys are going to want to run late models on a weekly basis.
How about the
At
guys that
Lakeside.
ran at I-80? Don't you think that a lot of those guys will come down to Lakeside Speedway? Because if you look how far away I-80 is in Greenwood, Nebraska, what is it, about 2.5 hours? I think a lot of those guys that run the Malvern Bank Series will come down and run at Lakeside Speedway.
Well, you hope some of them do, but, you know, a lot of those guys are from the Omaha, Council Bluffs, Lincoln, Nebraska region.
Right.
And all those guys have to work for a living. How many of those would have time to drive all the way down here on a Friday night, get off work, and make it down to Lakeside Speedway? I think you might have a handful of those guys, but you're not going to get all of those guys who used to run at I-80 Speedway. to come
What
down
about
here.
some of the guys that are running the ULMA cars that run down at Wheatland, that run down there on Saturday nights, and some of the guys that run up at I-35 Speedway? Some of those guys will come down and run. I think they'll start out with probably about 8 or 9 cars, and hopefully it will grow and turn into something special out there at Lakeside Speedway.
I just, I just wonder just how quickly you're going to be able to build up that car count. It like I said, it's not going to happen overnight.
But here's the problem. They might as well they eliminated the Grand Nationals this year, right? Isn't that what Darren said? That they're no longer, right?
No more Grand Nationals.
No more Grand Nationals. So there's money right there that they could put towards that purse. And to be honest with you, Darren Bennett, my feeling was, listening to that interview, is that this is the last year for the A-Mods at Lakeside Speedway. Would you agree with me? Did you feel that theme?
Yeah, I mean, he said that
There's not enough cars.
He didn't want to penalize the guys who showed up every week, but there's going to be a number that they're going to have to reach as far as car count to get a certain, all the purse money that they've been used to getting in the A-Mod class. That's not going to help grow the number of cars in the A-Mod class. But he said, we're going to give it another year and see what happens. My only issue is when you start cutting back on the purse based on car count.
Right. That's when
is that a recipe for growing the class back to where you
typically
like to see?
that's when the class falls apart.
Well,
would you agree with me on that?
and I get where he's saying. The number of cars have been...
A-Mods are getting too expensive.
Yeah, it's been a problem at every racetrack. And that's when Central Missouri Speedway decides to drop the A-Mod class, as they did a year ago, that would be the last track you'd think that would drop A-Mods.
You would never thought in a million years that Earl Walls would drop the mighty modifieds at CMS. And never in a million years. In fact, Earl Walls, and let's give Earl credit where credit's due, Earl Walls was the best paying racetrack in this area
Yeah.
when it come to A-mods, right? And for Earl Walls to give up on the Mighty Modifieds down at CMS, because that's what he promoted his track around, was the Mighty Modifieds, wasn't it?
Right. The downside to that is, and the B-mod class has grown over the years, and you see a lot of former A-mod drivers go race B-mods, which gives that class star power. But what about the race fans? Are they still the casual race fans that have no ties to any particular racer? Are they still going to show up and come to the races if you don't have A-mods?
To be honest with you, the B-mods are getting pretty expensive right now, too.
Yeah.
Right.
They're where the A-mods used to be.
Right.
Yeah, the costs have just got way out of hand with this stuff.
Kirk, do you ever see a point to where we get back to where E-mods are going to be the king of modified racing? Do you think we'll see it eventually? Strip it all the way down, make the E-mods the premier mod, just call them modifieds.
Well, if it's like the B-mod class now,
It's
if that's
getting too
going to be your
expensive.
premier division, then stop calling them B-mods.
Call them modifieds.
Just call them modifieds.
Right, right.
Because how many casual race fans are going to show up and watch B-mods when you drop the A-mod class? So I think you got to get rid of those names. If the B-mods are your premier class, then just call them modifieds.
Modifieds, yeah. I do think that eventually that we're gonna see the modified stripped down to just about nothing. Get back to the old days to where modifieds are going to be cheaper. I think the E-mods will end up eventually being the modified division.
Yeah. And this is all because, and it's happened gradually over time, the costs of all of this stuff has just gotten way out of hand. And it didn't happen in 1 or 2 years. It's happened over a number of years.
Well, as you know, Kirk, the cost of these USMTS modifieds have went through the roof. These MB custom type cars, they're $35,000 with no motor, no transmission, no shocks, right? And then you have to buy 2 motors. You have to at least have 2 motors, and those are about $25,000 a piece. So now you've got about $60,000 in a modified when you can own a sprint car for almost the same amount of money. And as you know, we see sprint car racing making a resurgence in the world of sprint car racing right now. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes, and that's because of the purse money that's being thrown at
Right.
410 sprint car racing right now.
Right, no doubt about it. Word on the street, Alan Miller says that Tim Carrick is building a B-mod. It's about time for Tim. A lot of people have stepped away from the A-mods and have dropped down to the B-mods because financially the A-mods are just too expensive. And even the USRA modifieds, UMP modifieds, USMTS modifieds, all of those type of cars are very expensive cars. And we saw them race down there at the Gateway Nationals. What'd you think of that race, Kurt?
That was a good show. The Saturday night
track was pretty rugged, though, wasn't it?
But as a race fan, it made for good racing. If I was a car owner, I wouldn't like it very much. A lot of torn up equipment. But as a race fan, it made for some pretty entertaining action. Kenny Wallace put on a good show over there to make the A main.
Kenny Wallace won the B main, and he acted like he won the A main.
Yeah, but it was Ricky Thornton Jr., the big star over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, those were UMP cars over there.
Yeah.
Right.
Different rules than the USMTS.
But we did see some IMCA cars that were competing over there that weekend, and they semi-competed with the UMP cars because of the size of the racetrack, right?
Yes.
Right.
So that's it. When you've got that small of a racetrack, that equalizes things, especially when it gets rough like that.
Right.
That's a great equalizer.
Mm-hmm. Well, so anyway, I'm pretty excited about the future of Lakeside Speedway. Lakeside Speedway, it thrived in its day when they had 3 classes, right?
Yeah, I think so. From a fan standpoint, when they just had 3 classes and you could tell the difference
In the crowd.
between the three classes. You could, modifieds, stock cars, and they had a what was the other class that they had?
Charger
back then?
class.
Charger class.
Right.
But you could tell the difference between each of those three classes.
Yeah.
When they came out to race.
Yeah,
I thought that was the most successful from a crowd standpoint.
Right.
Was when Lakeside Speedway had three classes. I get from a track operator standpoint, you want more entries and more pit passes because that's really where most of the money comes in is the back gate. But from a front gate standpoint, drawing casual race fans on a Friday night, I thought they had their biggest crowds when they only had three classes.
Let me ask you this, Kirk. Do you think if you run a limited late model that it would be cheaper than running an A mod?
I don't know. I'm not certain of that. What do you think?
I think so.
You know more about that than I do.
I think so. I think that if you run a ULMA type late model, I think that the cost would be a little bit less. And I know there's a lot of guys that are running those kind of cars around here, so I look for the late model scene to come up to a higher level than the A mods.
What I know
eventually.
is when you try to grow a class, a racer wants options. When he builds a race car, he wants more than just one track to be able to race it at.
Right.
And so to grow the class, you need other racetracks to also run that type
I
of
think Lakeside's going to scavenge away cars from Wheatland and I-35 Speedway. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We've got all kinds of sound that we're going to run today. We've got sound from Trenton Berry, Steve Post, Darren Bennett. Bob Baker's going to join us in hour one. He's good.
Second segment coming right up.
Coming right up.
Big news at the Hall of Fame yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Bob, we'll talk about it. We had the winner of the sprint car determined yesterday. We also had the announcement of the inductees to the 2023 National Sprint Car Hall of Fame class and all of the North American Pole Award winners. Bob announced that yesterday on a live stream, and he's going to join us coming up after the break to talk about it.
Bob Baker, in charge of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, joins us next right here on Track Talk. We'll be right back with more. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. Here comes Kansas. Dick wants a three. He'll get a three.
Kansas City's home of the Jayhawks, March Madness, and the Final Four. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
For the second year in a row, the Border Showdown turns into a Tiger beatdown.
Saturday at 11, the Jayhawks face Indiana. Kansas basketball on Sports Radio 810 WHB is presented by Hy-Vee and J. Rieger Distillery.
Family Leisure's inventory liquidation sale is happening now. Save hundreds, even thousands, on pools and spas at liquidation prices at Family Leisure. All the summer stuff has to go. Backyard adventure play sets, Gorilla basketball systems, trampolines, patio, deck furniture, and more. The season's best prices guaranteed. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure's inventory liquidation sale. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for family fun. K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. As another year comes to an end, it's time to enjoy the holidays, be around the people we love, be thankful for this great city we call home, and help those less fortunate. With each vehicle sold in any of the 9 Victory Auto dealerships in the Kansas City area, a portion of the proceeds are set aside for Giving Hope KC to help purchase needed food and supplies for our local community. At Victory Ford, we strive for you to call us the place you go for all your car needs. So check us out at the Legends in KCK or online at victoryfordkc.com.
That's the sound of a slow-cooked brisket on your new Traeger. And that's the sound of your honey-do list getting honey done. For a limited time, get a new Traeger grill or $700 Home Depot gift card on all qualified new equipment purchases from Kate's. Call or book online for a free estimate. Because who can keep your home running like a well-oiled machine? That's right, Kate's can.
My Freight World, a third-party logistics company based in Overland Park, is looking to add more account executives to the team. The account executive role offers great work-life balance, strong operational support, and an uncapped commission structure that truly rewards those that get after it. There is a better way to do things, and MyFreightWorld's customers love them because they save them time and money. Plus, remove uncertainty from the freight transportation process. Check out their career page at myfreightworld.com to learn more and apply today.
Do you have a frog? You know, a freezing room over the garage? Now that everyone is home, are you looking to convert your frog into an office, a schoolroom, or a comfortable room to escape your family? With no ductwork required, Mitsubishi Electric offers room-by-room air filtration and precise temperature control. Let's help you turn those cold, uncomfortable spaces in your house into a space you and your family will really enjoy. To learn more about Mitsubishi Electric's solutions, visit keepkccool.com today. Now, they can help you whether you need to heat it up or cool it down. Mitsubishi's got you covered. Our biggest problem here in the Sports Radio 810 control room and studio was the heat. We've got a lot of windows and a lot of radio equipment, and our Mitsubishi unit has kept us cool for years. It works like a charm, and it works quickly, and it's whisper quiet. It's been a real game changer for us at Sports Radio 810. Check them out at keepkccool.com. That's keepkccool.com today.
Happy holidays, Kansas City. It's Brad Hewlett of Bob Allen Ford. It's time to wrap up another year.
Back in 1 minute.
In 2022, we embarked on a campaign of kindness. We did our best to give back to the city that has given so much to us. While you still may be deciding on your holiday wish list, here at Bob Allen Ford, we already have everything we asked for, and that's you. Thanks for choosing our family to be a part of yours. As my father always says, all Fords are created equal. It's your dealer that makes the difference.
Join us Saturday for a special NFL triple header. Hi, this is Scott Graham of Westwood One. First, the Minnesota Vikings try to clinch the NFC North when they take on the Indianapolis Colts. Then it's an AFC North battle between the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns. And we end the night with Miami and Buffalo in an AFC East divisional matchup. Triple header coverage starts at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810. WHB.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system. Pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And joining us now on the phone is the man at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. They inducted 13 inductees into the class of 23 yesterday. Bob Baker joins us on the show. Bob, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Kurt? I mean, Scott.
I'm doing okay, bud. Yesterday was a big day up there at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, wasn't it?
It sure was. It was our Hall of Fame Friday, and we announced our new Hall of Fame inductees that are going to be inducted next year on June the 3rd, the Saturday after the Indy 500. We also announced the winner of our raffle sprint car and our pole award winners for all three classes, the non-wing sprint cars, the 360 sprint cars, and also the 410 sprint cars.
Right. The gentleman that won the sprint car, this is a feel-good story, isn't it? Because he is a lower-budget team that races out in PA, and now he's got a brand-new XXX race car with a Moyle motor in it, and this is a top-flight race car that he won yesterday, wasn't it?
It is, and the story gets even better, Scott, because he's the nephew of Bobby Allen.
Oh, wow.
So Bobby's already called him, wanting to know what parts are in the engine. You know how scarce the parts are for engines right now.
Right, no doubt.
He wants to know about the heads and the block that you can't buy anywhere that we ordered 2 years ago and got in. So it's going to be exciting. The speculation in Pennsylvania is that the engine will end up in Logan Schuhart's car, but we don't know if that's true or not.
If I'm not mistaken, it took a while to get the motor parts. It's really difficult to get pistons and crankshafts and push rods and whatnot. That motor just was put together here recently, wasn't it?
Yep, about a week ago, the week before PRI, the engine was assembled and dynoed at Moyle Racing by Jamie Moyle, and it ended up with a little over 900 horsepower. It took us about a little under 18 months to get all the pieces and parts to put the engine together. So Jamie was very patient with us and just kept everything in a section of his shop until everything arrived. It's hard when the engine builders have orders for engines and repairs and they can't get the parts. And, to see an engine going together and everybody's like, why can't that be my car? Why can't that be my block?
Right.
Why can't that be my crank? And it's like, I don't think a lot of people understand the parts are so hard to get. We had to order this stuff 2 years ago.
Right, yeah. Let's talk about some of the inductees into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Let's go through the list of them. Can we do that?
Absolutely. For the drivers, we have Ken Hamilton, Chad Kemenah, Corey Cruz, Bobby Marshall, and Joey Saldana. Those are the drivers.
Mm-hmm. And those
to go through the others also, like the owners, mechanics, builders?
Yeah, well, some of those drivers that you mentioned there are such legends in our sport. Chad Kemenah, a 6-time All-Star Circuit of Champions. He won 2 Ohio Speed Weeks. Just talk a little bit about Chad Kemenah.
Well, he was a 6-time All-Star Circuit of Champions titleist, and he holds 2 Ohio Speed Week championships, and he's 4th in the series in A-Main starts. And in addition to his All-Star exploits, he was the Kevin Gobrick Rookie of the Year award winner with the World of Outlaws, and he holds 6 wins with the Outlaws also. So I think most people around the Midwest are familiar with Chad's name and maybe have met him after the races.
Yeah. I was a little set back. I was a little shocked that Corey Cruzman wasn't already in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
Well, it takes time for these guys to get nominated and then get voted in. And there's several people that were nominated and voted in this year, like himself and Bobby Marshall and a few others. It takes time to get in. And I don't think the general public and even some of the racers and people in the industry realize it's not an easy thing to get on the final ballot, let alone get voted in after you're on the final ballot. So it's a process.
Yeah. Joey Saldana made it in as well.
Yes, Joey Saldana. I think most people around here are familiar with watching him race with the World of Outlaws, but his dad, Joe, is an inductee of ours also and a Knoxville National winner. But Joey has 74 All-Star wins. 18 of those came in 1995, and that's still their All-Star season record with the series. He's got 17 World of Outlaw, 17 years with the World of Outlaws, and 105 feature wins. So he's 7th on their all-time feature win list. And he's a 2-time Kings Royal winner, 2-time Gold Cup titleist, and he's won the Brad Doty Classic, the Ironman 55, and many other huge races overseas in Australia.
Right.
Hey, Bobby Marshall, he's a guy we remember. He was a legend down in Texas, but we also remember when he drove for Speedy Bill back in the day.
Yeah, Bobby Marshall, I think some of the older fans will probably remember him as driving the number 19 Blue Max car.
Yep.
He was one of the original World of Outlaws back in 1978 when Ted Johnson started the series. And at that time, he'd already been named the 1972, he had already been named the 72 Texas Sprint Car Association Rookie of the Year. He racked up a lot of wins with NCRA. He drove 4 races for Speedy Bill in the 4X car. He won the first 2 races, first 2 Winter Nationals at the Devil's Bowl, and he was a 2-time Devil's Bowl track champion before he retired. He's credited with 108 career sprint car victories. So a lot of people didn't know that he'd won that many races, but we did the history and the background on it, and sure enough, he's won a lot of races.
Yeah.
And the West Coast represented with Ken Hamilton going in.
Ken Hamilton, I talked to him a few days ago, and he is just such a nice guy, so gracious. A lot of people remember the Pink Lady sprint car, and that's the car he raced on the West Coast for almost 50 years. The first year in the car, Ken won 19 out of 22 races. He's a 2-time winner of the Copper World Classic, won races from Ascot to Skagit on the West Coast, and promoted Meridian Speedway in Idaho for 20 years. So Ken has been around sprint car racing and racing for a long time.
Right. One of my favorite classes is the pre-1970. Joey Ray was the winner of that this year. Talk a little bit about Joey Ray and his career.
Well, he raced for 17 years, and he was the first black driver to compete in a sanctioned race when he took the MDTRA in Mitchell, Indiana in 1947. But his first win came a year later at Logansport. His groundbreaking career includes racing with MDTRA, but IMCA, CSRA, and the AAA. He was the first black driver to race in all 4 classes. His first AAA race saw him finish 8th at the High Banks of Salem. So he's been inducted into several Hall of Fames, including the Harf Hall of Fame, the Kentucky Motorsports Hall of Fame, and the National Midget Auto Racing High Banks Hall of Fame over in Belleville. So a very worthy contendant and inductee that's headed. His son actually is coming. Billy Ray is coming to accept for his father, who passed away a few years ago.
Back in the 40s, that's when men were men. They raced without those roll cages. Those are the guys that built the foundation of our sport today. Would you agree with me on that?
I agree with you on that. They were very brave, and they just didn't have the technology or have the idea of the roll cages. Back in those days, Scott, some of those guys didn't even have seat belts in the car. There definitely, was not the helmet protection we have today, or the arm restraints, or any of the safety features that today's open-wheel sprint car drivers race with. And these guys were the trailblazers, and they really set the bar pretty high.
In fact, some of the drivers back in those days, and I've talked to a few of them, they wanted to be thrown from the car when they flipped. They didn't want to ride it out in the car. They wanted to be thrown out of the car. Can you even imagine that, Bob?
Well, a few of their relatives have told me the reason they wanted to be thrown out of the car because they felt that was safer if they were thrown away from the car versus having the car land on them.
Right.
They felt like they could die or break an arm or leg if the car landed on top of them. So
crazy.
If the car got upside down, they would just rather be as far away from it when it came down as possible.
Right.
Hey, Bob, let's briefly touch on some of these other drivers, the owners, mechanics, builders, manufacturers, people going in, Johnny Caples, Paul Hazen, and Tommy Sanders, and the promoters, officials, media members, Max Dolder, Alan Kreitzer, Ralph Shaheen, and Johnny Vance. Just briefly touch on some of those.
All of those people you mentioned, all of our inductees are going to be inducted next year. On June the 3rd, Paul Hazen, Tommy Sanders, Johnny Caples with USAC for years and years. They're all very, very worthy candidates of induction. A lot of them, like Tommy Sanders, just like Scott said, you would think Corey Kruisman would have been inducted a long time ago, and the case is the same with Tommy Sanders. I mean, he started back in Pennsylvania helping Bobby Allen, and he's helped just about everybody. He helped Sammy Swindell when he won the World of Outlaw Championship. He's helped Laverne Nance, Brad Doty, Keith Kaufman, Doug Wolfgang, you name it. He's been around the business, working at Gambler Chassis, designing and building Gambler Chassis, which was the chassis company back in the day. So very worthy candidate there with Tommy. Alan Kreitzer, a lot of people don't know it, but he's the originator of the Pennsylvania Sprint Car Speed Weeks since 1991. And he's just been a founding block of the Pennsylvania scene, the Pennsylvania Posse. He was one of the founders at the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing, the EMMR. He holds a lot of awards in the region back there. He was a promoter and owner of Silver Spring Speedway for 25 years and owner at Susquehanna Speedway and co-promoter at Williams Grove Speedway. And Alan Kreitzer knows just about everybody in Pennsylvania. If I ever have a question, he's kind of a go-to guy, him and Lynn Paxton. So very worthy inductee. Ralph Shaheen, I think everybody listening knows Ralph Shaheen from TNN and watching him, listening to him on the Speed Sport broadcast and reading his articles in Speed Sport News. Johnny Vance, USAC official. Johnny was just one of those guys that was just a lifelong dedicated ambassador for the sport. I think somebody told me at age 16 he started checking drivers and people in at the back gate at racetracks. So somebody else has just been around the business for a long, long time, Johnny Vance. And I think we didn't mention Max Dolder. A lot of people don't know it because Max lives in Florida now, but he's originally from Newton, Iowa, and started at Knoxville. So he's one of those guys that's had his pictures. He's a photographer, had his pictures on the cover of Open Wheel magazine, many photo shoots and stories with National Speed Sport News, countless other publications he's had his pictures published in, like Open Wheel, Circle Track, Sprint Car and Midget magazine. He's also an inductee in the Little 500 Hall of Fame. So Max, another very deserving inductee that's going to be with us on June the 6th in Knoxville. June the 3rd, I'm sorry.
Right. Hey, Bob, before we let you go, I know that there's a new Corvette up there. It's a 2023 Z06 with the Z07 performance package. This is a pearl white tri-coat color, and they're going to give $25,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes. You're going to be giving this car away, and all the proceeds go to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. This car has 760 horsepower. It's a 5.5 LT6 V8 motor. It goes from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, 8-speed automatic. It's got the big wheels, the big brakes. It's really a race car on the street, and if people want to buy raffle tickets to have a chance to win this car, they can do that at winaz06corvette.com. winaz06corvette.com. Tell us a little bit more about that car.
Well, that car is a very special car, as you mentioned and talked about it. We don't actually have it in a museum yet. It's still under construction in the factory down in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's a very sought-after car. It's the most expensive Corvette that we will have given away. This is the 5th Corvette we've given away. And if somebody is wanting to get some tickets, I've got a little tip for them today. If they go to winaz06corvette.com and enter the promo code Santa25, today or tomorrow, they can get 25% more tickets. It's a promotion that we're running between now and December 18th. Santa25 is what you type in there where it says promo code. That'll give you a few extra tickets to win the Corvette. The rules on it have changed a little bit this year. We can't give it away Saturday night of the Nationals. We can sell tickets through Saturday night of the Nationals, but we have to wait a week after we sell our last ticket before we can do the drawing. So that's just a little bit different than it's been in the past. So we might even give it away up there at Houston, that big race at Houston Speedway when they pay the $250,000 to win. We're not sure yet.
That would be great. Hey, Bob, what do you think about the $1 million to win Eldora race that they're going to have?
I think it's great. I think Tony, realizes that he's had a $1 million to win race twice for the late models, and it's long overdue for the sprint cars. I applaud Tony's efforts for building up the purse in the back, not just paying a lot of money for first place and forgetting about everybody else. It's a good, solid purse all the way back to last place. I think the place, Eldora, is going to be packed for the 4 nights, the 2 nights for the $1 million to win, and then, of course, the King's Royal on Friday and Saturday night. I wish I could get away. I'd love to be there, but, we're going to be busy in Knoxville racing that Saturday night, so maybe I can sneak away for a day or two and then get back to Knoxville before things get going on Saturday. It's definitely a historical moment for sprint car racing. I was at the $1 million race Earl Baltus did back, I think it was 1993 maybe.
Let's break.
And that's when Jack Hodenshield won the $200,000.
Yeah.
And it seems like the purses are going up. The pay-per-view money is coming in and helping augment the purses and help sprint car racing a little bit. So I think everybody's looking forward to see how that unfolds, the $1 million to win, and see who will be sprint car racing's first $1 million winner in one night.
All right. Well, Bob, we got to take a break. We appreciate you being involved with Mostly Motorsports. You've been a great supporter of that show for the last year, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of it. We're looking forward to future endeavors with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. We can't thank you enough for being a part of it. Thanks again, my friend.
Thank you, Scott and Kirk. You and Scott both have a Merry Christmas, and thank you for everything you do for sprint car racing and racing in general in the Kansas City area and across the country. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, happy holidays, Bob.
Yeah, Merry Christmas,
so
Bob. All right, there you have it. Bob Baker joining us from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back here on Sports Radio 810.
Track Talk.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will...
Closing theme will start at 54.
At 54?
Yep, 54:03, but yeah.
How much time we got in this segment?
54, Kirk. You just said 54.
No, total.
I don't like math.
No, well, that's why we asked you. We don't like math either.
You'll have about 6 minutes when we come back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, 6 minutes before the music starts, and then another minute of music, so
Okay.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys get it.
You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Come home to the holidays with great specials from your neighborhood hen house. Brown sugar cured spiral sliced bone-in ham, only $2.69 a pound. Plus, get a $2 off coupon in store. USDA Choice certified Hereford beef whole tenderloin, sold in Cryovac, just $9.99 a pound. How about a beef standing bone-in rib roast, just $12.99 a pound? And finish your meal with a delicious Tippins pie. Of course, they're sold exclusively at Hen House, or let Hen House cook your entire holiday meal for you. Whether it's a meal for two or the whole family, order now at henhouse.com. Hen House, Kansas City's local market since 1923.
Load up on savings with a new Bobcat compact track loader. For a limited time only, Bobcat is offering 0% financing for 24 months on all new Bobcat compact track loaders. While the weather's cold, the deals are hot. To rent or own, call or visit Casey Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See our selection at CaseyBobcat.com. Offer expires December 31st, 2022.
Icon is seeking overweight but healthy adults ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Participants must be non-smokers. Women must be of non-childbearing potential. Volunteers must be available for one stay of 46 nights and one follow-up phone call. Qualified participants may receive compensation up to $23,000 for time and travel. Call Icon today at 913-210-5900.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs. Who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like. And believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that the best part of beer is the beer part. Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
Is holiday shopping stressing you out? Let Joe's KC deliver a sleigh full of barbecue to everyone on your holiday list. All of the Joe's favorites, like the Z-Man and Rocket Pig kits, can be shipped anywhere in the U.S. Joe's ships coast to coast, and most kits arrive in 2 days. Place your order today and give the gift of great barbecue at joeskc.com.
Get in the holiday spirit all month long at Ho Ho Hollywood Casino. Saturday, Hollywood Casino is celebrating their 10-year anniversary with huge giveaways. Earn 150 tier points from 5 a.m. to 2:45 p.m., and you can win a $15 Walmart, Hy-Vee, or Quick Trip gift card. And from 6 to 10 p.m., 4 winners every 30 minutes will win prizes ranging from $100 to $500 in free slot play. Celebrate the holidays at Hollywood Casino.
Must be 21 years of age and a My Choice member to participate. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Tradition starts together with the University of Kansas Jayhawks and Central Bank. And now a new tradition starts with the launch of Jayhawk Checking and the official Jayhawk debit card, coming in January, exclusively at Central Bank. You'll be able to show your Jayhawk spirit wherever you are, whether it's packing the booth to traveling the road to the big bowl game. And congratulations to the Jayhawks football team on your incredible season. Central Bank is the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas. Visit centralbank.net to learn more. Member FDI.
Back in 1 minute.
Fans, ask your wife and family for tickets to the NHRA Nationals in Topeka in 2023 for your holiday gift idea this year. Buy discounted holiday tickets now at NHRA.com. Tickets to the Menards NHRA Nationals August 11th through 13th, presented by Pet Armor, are on sale now. Use promo code 810 for your holiday discount code. Buy one ticket, get one half price on all GA tickets through December 31st. That's promo code 810. Buy one ticket, get one half off. Just go to NHRA.com and use promo code 810.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. If you don't know, hour number 2 will be coming up right around the corner. You can watch us on our Facebook page. You can watch us on YouTube, and you can watch us on RacingBoys.com. if you'd like to watch the in-camera studio. We've got 7 cameras here in our studio. It's a nice little setup. So if you'd like to watch the show, we run video as the show goes, and we kind of show some video as we talk about certain things that are going on in the world of motorsports. Kirk?
One thing we didn't get into it with Bob, he announced the Drivers of the Year yesterday.
Right.
The North American Drivers of the Year for sprint car divisions. Non-wing Driver of the Year, Justin Grant, who just picked up the national championship for the USAC non-wing cars this year. Blake Hahn, the 360 Driver of the Year,
Yep.
and Brent Marks won the 410 Driver of the Year award.
We sponsor Blake a little bit, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, not much.
Big fans of Blake.
We buy fire suits. That's
Right.
what we do.
He won his second straight Lucas Oil ASCS championship.
It's
this
good
year.
for him, yeah.
And the team, Blake Hahn Racing, won that top honor. So congratulations to Blake. Brent Marks, very worthy as a 410 Driver of the Year. Mainly based on those 2 big wins he had at Eldora Speedway in July this year, the historical big one that was
Right.
revived, $100,000 to win there, and $175,000 to win Kings Royal for Brent Marks, plus a number of other races.
We've had Brent Marks on our show several
Yeah,
times this year,
good
haven't
guy.
we? Yeah, good guy.
So what a
Yeah.
great year he had. And, of course, Justin Grant, as we talked about earlier, in a midget. He picked up the Turkey Night Grand Prix here a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to be one of the big favorites to win the Chili Bowl this year. He's never won the Chili Bowl yet, so
Right.
we'll see if he does like he did at Turkey Night when he won his first ever Turkey Night Grand Prix.
We want to give a shout-out to Marie. She's listening in from Pennsylvania today.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was one other announcement made yesterday that Bob made. Shane Carson winning the Tom Schmay
How about
Award
that?
for Outstanding Achievement, Sprint Car Racing.
Shane
our
Carson,
good
one of the
friend.
great guys, man.
I look at him as an ambassador to sprint car racing. You know, we remember him racing back,
Mm-hmm.
30, 40 years ago. He was a great racer, won a lot of races, but he's really right now a great ambassador, is he not, Scott? He just, you see him everywhere.
Well, I had a chance to take a picture with him down at the Fuzzy Fall Fling down at Creek County.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago. Got to hang out with him for a little bit. Kirk, let's bring up a topic that Kyle Larson is not going to run as many races this year. He's chosen to maybe it sounds like to me, just outside looking in, that Kyle Larson was disappointed with his Cup career last year, and he's going to concentrate more on his family and more on his Cup career. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, but he's still going to race other races besides the Cup racing.
Not
He's
very many, though.
going to be picky and choosy of where he runs. But if you look at his performance last year, it wasn't what we've become used to with Kyle Larson.
Right.
He made some mistakes out there, and not just in the Cup car, but in some of the other cars.
Right.
Too, and he would admit that last year just didn't meet his standards. I think he threw away a chance at winning a Cup championship at the Roval in Charlotte when he hit the wall and knocked himself out of the race.
Is he still considered the best driver in the world right now, you think?
Yeah. Talent-wise, who's better? Kyle Busch was great, but even Kyle Busch didn't have the kind of season that he was used to.
I'm going to say this, and don't hold this against me, but Christopher Bell is starting to make a push.
Absolutely.
And I think Christopher Bell is going to be known as one of those guys that's really focused on his Cup career. Because, listen, Christopher Bell is not going to run a lot of open-wheel stuff this year.
He's not going to run the Chili Bowl.
He's not going to run the Chili Bowl as well. And I think that Christopher Bell is going to be a champion in the near future. What do you think?
Well, yeah, he almost became a champion this year.
Yeah.
And, that terrible news on race morning when we found out that Coy Gibbs had passed away.
Right.
That whole team was affected by that,
Yep, no
as
doubt.
you might imagine, or he might have a championship this year.
All right, hour number 2 coming up right around the corner. You can watch it on our Facebook page. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on racingboys.com. It's Kirk and myself along with Todd Surprise. The show's a little bit different in hour number 2. Uninterrupted, no commercials. We just whiz right through it. It's going to be a good hour. We hope that you'll join us. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We're going to be playing some sound from Trenton Berry, Steve Post, Darren Bennett, and more.
And no show next week or New Year's Eve.
Right.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays,
10
everyone. We'll
seconds.
talk to
10.
you after the
Yeah.
first of the year.
Merry Christmas, everyone, from the Racing Boys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Next
Thank
to
you,
your
my friend.
vehicle's engine, your
Thanks, Rick.
transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Yeah, sometimes when you dial somebody's cell phone, you dial 1 to get
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the Racing Boys. Todd Surprise, producer extraordinaire, helping us out here this morning. Always does a great job. Todd, man, we love you, brother.
I appreciate that. Love you guys back.
Yeah.
Big family here.
Big family right here, bud.
End of the year. This is our last. We don't usually have this. We almost always. We've only had 1 year since I've been with you guys that we didn't do a Saturday show for. We mailed one in one time.
2 weeks we're going to have off.
2 full weeks of no shows. We only have, but 5 mostly motorsports
shows next week.
And that's it. And then we're wrapped up until Chili Bowl Day. And that's when the news
and mostly motorsports is going to be going to 1 day a week.
Right. And Scott will be down there at the Chili Bowl.
I'm probably going to go to the Chili Bowl. I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to go to the shootout yet. I've got a room booked for the shootout. But I don't know if I want to go to the shootout.
If the weather's nice down there.
Scotty Cook might force me to go down there, though.
Going down for a day or two wouldn't be a bad gig. Just because, like you said.
Maybe on the final day I'll go down there.
Like Bob Seger used to say, see some old friends, good for the soul.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it always is kind of good to see some of those folks down, hanging out in the back in the smoke area.
Right.
Where the swope. I love that area.
Man, oh man, Outback.
The Outback is the
Outback.
Best,
Boy, we miss him too, don't
we? Swope is.
We lost another friend of ours here this past year that was a big.
Yes. The big boy, the guy that drove the truck that we gave the big giant
Gary?
Jacket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary. Yeah.
Good old boy.
Yeah. Remember, Todd, do you remember when Gary didn't have a heavy coat?
Yep.
And he was sitting around, he always sat in his truck, and he was always there just in case anybody needed a tool. He had a bunch of tools in the back of his truck. And we had this big, giant 4 or 5X jacket that we couldn't give to anybody, and Gary didn't have a jacket. And I called up Todd, and I said, Todd, I want you to go by the studio, and I want you to grab that big jacket. I want you to bring it down here with you. I'm going to give it to this old boy.
I think it was a half a cow.
And that guy wore that. He wore it everywhere.
Every Friday and Saturday night. He broke that thing out like it was his dressers,
right?
And wore that thing proudly. And like you said, it made me smile every time I saw it because we knew we did good with that.
And
you know what
we
I mean?
just lost Gary here not
we
long
did.
ago.
He was a good old boy, like you said. There's a lot of good old people down there that work at that building. You know what I'm saying? Not just the racers and the people that work in the building. We're talking about the people that work for the company that are down there every week. The security, the people let us in, the gals that would bring our water in. Hell, half those people would open
Jerry and all those guys that put our booth together for us and whatnot.
The girls that would hold the door open for us while we brought in all the food and all those years. I mean, we ran that.
And we always give them a little bit of food,
always took care, a couple T-shirts here and there, always helped out everybody, right? A hat will do wonders in the world if you give a T-shirt or a hat away. You'd be surprised what you can get away with giving a hat.
You know who else I'm going to miss? Beverly Edwards.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Since our last time down there, she passed on. Of course, Fuzzy and Lanny.
I really miss
thinking
Fuzzy.
about them too.
Well, that office is a lot different down there now when you have without Beverly and Fuzzy and all them. You know, when you'd go in there, heck, when I broke my arm and I rolled in there, those were the first ladies that I come walking in there with the security guy, you know, with the policeman that worked down there.
I can't tell you how much I miss Fuzzy.
Yeah, she was a good old gal, and like I told her,
Fuzzy would kick my ass if I did something wrong. Let me tell you right now. If you don't know who Fuzzy is, Fuzzy was Emmett's wife. And when I started on the national tour in 2009, my mom had just passed away. And I really didn't have anybody to really kind of keep me in line. And Fuzzy was the one. Whenever I would do something wrong or didn't do it right or didn't do something right, she'd jump my ass and she'd tell me, she says, Scott, you're screwing up. And when we lost Fuzzy, I'll just say, it was like losing a second mom to me because she would always discipline me if I had it coming.
Amen. Well, I'd tell you. And you know, we also had great conversations with Beverly, too.
Oh, well, I was pretty close with Beverly as well. Yeah, no doubt.
And she was Lanny's wife. Of course, we've not been, you know, Lanny has not been with us for some years now, but Emmett, he's still with us, though. He's still going strong.
Emmett is, you know, Emmett is transitioning out of working so hard, right? The good thing about Emmett is right now is that he's just enjoying life, playing golf every day. You know, him and Tom Lorenz, Gary Wright, they all play golf together all the time.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. And I think Terry Maddox has done a pretty decent job with the ASCS.
Yes,
what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get ready to work hard. You talk about the shootout and the Chili Bowl. Terry Maddox flags all of those races. I don't think he misses a one, does he?
Well,
maybe a couple during the shootout.
I know Angie one time, she flagged a race down there. That was kind of scary, watching Angie.
Talk about getting their workout in. Terry Maddox as the flagman at the Tulsa shootout and the Chili Bowl.
It gets a little sketchy down there once in a while. Cars get close to Terry.
He's standing right down next to the racetrack.
On the track. He gets right out there. He does not mess around with those guys.
But they've got quite a crew that puts that all together. And as we speak, the track is already in, right?
The track is in.
And here in a couple of weeks, they'll be racing at the SageNet Center, Tulsa Expo Square.
Pete just, our good friend Pete, one of our loyal listeners, he just chimed in. He said, Rico testing a Keith Coons number 24 at Chili Bowl. That is not a number he would normally use there.
So that's why, last year we saw him in the 97 car.
Right.
You see Brennan Crouch in that car. So we weren't sure, we didn't see Rico's name listed on the entry list, but we're told he is going to be at the Chili Bowl.
Right.
And you say driving a 24?
Well, that's what Pete's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me just say that Pete is very good at news.
Yeah.
Pete's always feeding us information as we do Mostly Motorsports, and we appreciate Pete more than anything.
So
I mean, we got a lot of people that listen to Mostly Motorsports every day.
They know what's going on.
And listen, Pete is one of them. Marie, Tammy, our friends from out on the East Coast. Listen, they just mean everything to us. And I cannot wait to go to PA Speed Week next year. I'm going to do it. Kirk, I got to go do it. You might have to. Are you going to go?
Thinking about it. Why not?
Deidre's going to go.
She is. Can she get vacation that early in her new job?
She can work from wherever she wants.
I guess she can, can't she?
She works from the house. She can work anywhere.
She can take the office wherever she wants.
She can take the office wherever she wants to go. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be cool. To get out there to see it.
So you know what that's going to mean, Kirk? This year might cost us a little bit more money to go watch some races.
So be it.
Right.
You only live once.
Mm-hmm.
The Williams Grove Speedway is the only Pennsylvania track I've been to, so I'd love to get out there and check Lincoln Speedway, Port Royal,
Grandview.
I
can't wait to get out there.
Don't they go to Hagerstown in Maryland, too, during PA Speedway? They used to.
I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to trade our motorhome for a fifth wheel. And then just buy us a pickup truck, Kirk. What do you think?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah.
Going to spend a lot of money.
We'll trade the motorhome for an RV, and then we'll just buy a pickup truck to pull it with.
Yeah, I mean, that's sounds like a good plan to me.
I cannot wait to get out there and meet Marie.
So you're just going to stay out on the road, stay out on the road, and as you're coming back towards Kansas City, stop in Ohio for the $1 million race and the Kings Royal.
Are they that close to each other?
Well, it's the middle of July. The PA Speed Week starts in late June. I think ends up about 4th of July weekend.
Oh, it does.
There's the list right there for anybody.
July 3rd. But that
Was
race
that last year?
No, that's this year. I think that's this year's.
No, that's last year's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, if they go to the same tracks they went last year, Williams Grove, Lincoln go back to that.
Yeah. Williams Grove, Lincoln Speedway, BAPS.
They went to Lincoln Speedway twice, Grandview Speedway, Port Royal Speedway.
Oh, man,
twice,
that's going to be so much
twice
fun.
to Port Royal, Hagerstown in Maryland, and twice to Williams Grove, and then Selinsgrove Speedway. Those were the tracks that hosted PA Speed Week last year.
Yeah,
they haven't come out with the schedule yet for 2023.
Yeah, they said
and all we need is good internet. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Right.
We got people out there we know. They can fill us in on the places where the good internet is, and we'll be good.
Right. Well, maybe we can just find a place.
Well, it's not like you're doing the show every day.
No, you just need a Monday, Saturday hook up, and you're good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Right.
You can make it work.
Worst case scenario, dial in on the phone and on the
I cannot
Saturday
wait.
show.
I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it.
So if you found somewhere in between, so the 4th of July weekend would be the final races for PA Speed Week.
Yeah.
Then you go to the middle of July, 12th and 13th are the dates for the Eldora Million.
Yeah.
And then the Kings Royal after that.
Maybe we just put a new generator in the RV and put a fan on the radiator.
Right.
And just run it.
But there's races in between PA Speed Week and the Kings Royal.
Yeah.
You could attend. The All-Stars will be running at about that time.
You know, Kirk, it might be cheaper just to do that. It might be just cheaper to put a new generator in there and put a fan on the radiator and just tow a car behind it.
Yeah. That might be cheaper.
It might
that
be
sounds
cheaper.
Like cheaper.
It does sound cheaper.
And then after the Kings Royal, Indiana Sprint Week.
Mm.
You know, as you're winding your way back west towards home, then you come through Indiana for the Indiana Sprint Week.
All right. I think that motorhome's got a few more miles on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a heck of a trip, wouldn't it?
It would be. Gosh, dog.
How far is that? Say if you drove straight from Kansas City to Reading, Pennsylvania, not Reading, but Harrisburg, Pennsylvania,
Williams
that area out
Grove.
there?
It's about 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles. How many hours does that take you to? I drove it once. I drove from Kansas City to Williams Grove
Let's just ask
Speedway.
the phone, Kirk. Let's just ask the phone.
It's been a long time ago. Like 26 years ago, I did that. I stopped in Indianapolis on the way out.
About 1,084
How far
miles.
is it to Williams Grove Speedway?
When I left Kansas City back in
1,084
'96 to
miles.
drive to Williams Grove Speedway, I left Kansas City
1,032
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah.
I left Kansas City in
15
the late
hours.
afternoon one Friday. I made it to Indianapolis, stayed all night, and then drove all day Saturday and made it to the National Open in Williams Grove. So,
It's 1,032 miles, Kirk.
and you know how many hours that is.
But Kirk, you could catch you a flight for $150.
Yeah.
And fly out there and meet them and wouldn't have to drive.
Yeah.
$300
that.
round trip. You'd be in good shape.
Right.
And you got extra spot there in the motorhome to sleep in, right?
Well, yeah. You sleep on the coffee table.
You drive it out there, I'll fly out. I'll join you out there.
Right.
There I am, leaving you to do all the heavy lifting, the hard work out there.
Story of my
While
life.
I tag on the airline and make it easy for myself and not you.
Yeah, but you don't want to ride out there and all the way with. You'd have the dog too, right? You guys are going to be like.
Oh, well, we're going to have to take our dog with us.
So it'd be Kirk, the dog, Deidre, Scott, all
Right.
Pennsylvania bound.
Right.
Yeah, we'd really be at each other's throats, so I rode with you all out there.
No, we wouldn't either.
That sounds like fun.
Lloyd, he just chimed in. He said, if they total our RV, I know where you can get a good generator, Owen, 5,500 watt. Mine's 7,500, Lloyd. It takes a bigger generator for our motorhome. I think they told me it would cost $7,000 to replace the generator. But if you replace...
Say that number again.
7,000. That'd be cheaper than a truck. If you went out and bought a truck, you're going to have to spend
Boy, you're going to have us spending all kinds of money in 2023.
But
aren't
if you went out and you bought a truck, you're going to have to spend $25,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can't afford that.
No. Kirk
Fuel-
the
fuel
dog
pri-
would have you for company in the back seat. That's what Marie said.
You know, if fuel prices stay back down to where they are now, that would be a big help too, wouldn't it?
Lloyd said truck $60,000. We
Yeah.
wouldn't buy that kind of truck, Lloyd. You know what I would buy? I would buy one of those big 4-door trucks that are made to pull RVs. Have you ever seen
I have
those?
seen them.
Those 4-door trucks? You can buy those for about $25,000.
Is that like a 1-ton truck?
2-ton truck.
2-ton truck.
Right, right.
Dually?
It's a dually. Yeah. It's made to pull RVs.
You had a dually once, didn't you?
I did have. I've had several dualies over the years. Yeah. All right. So should we get into the first one, Todd? Here, maybe we do the Darren Bennett. Is that what we want to do? You know, I think the biggest story for us here locally this week on our show, when we had Darren Bennett on and we talked to him about bringing late models to Lakeside Speedway, and to be honest with you, I think that's the biggest story in the local racing scene right now. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, he made the declaration, he said, we are bringing late models to Lakeside Speedway.
And the funny thing about it, the interview, that wasn't the gist of our interview. This was more about the big
I just brought it up.
Yeah, this was more, the interview is about the big, the whole reason we had him on.
High limit race coming
high limit race. It's
right.
a big announcement and everything. And this just kind of came out as
in the conversation.
Scott
Well,
mentioned
you asked
something.
him about late models.
That's right. He mentioned it, and then this is where we got to on that.
Well, and the reason I brought that up is because Darren and I had talked about late models coming to Lakeside Speedway in the future. And they've already dropped the Grand Nationals. They got rid of them. And if they drop the modifieds, it's a great opportunity for
The
them
A-mods.
The A-mods.
Yep.
If they drop the A-mods, it's a great opportunity to take the money that they run with the A-Mods and the Grand Nationals, combine that money, and pay the late models to come and run every week.
What we do know is A-Mods will return in 2023.
But
Grand Nationals will be dropped. But in the future, 2024, he said there will be a late model class. He just didn't know what type of late model it's going to be yet. That's yet to be determined.
I think he's going to go with Joe Kosiski series.
Or a crate late model class. He brought that up.
Right. But, Joe Kosiski series has a 3 different engine combinations that you can use. And they add weight, take weight off, put weight on, whatnot. So they have different combinations. You can run a super late model. You can run a crate late model. You can do whatever you want. I like that. I think that's the better way to do it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the best way to do it, the way that Joe Kosiski series does it.
So here is the part of that conversation that we had with Darren Bennett, the general manager of Lakeside Speedway, on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week.
Guys, you got to be excited about your race on April 11th. $50,000 to win. And how did you pull this together?
Well, we've been working on it a little while. Shane Stewart and Brad Sweet, and of course Kyle was in contact with me wanting to know, if there was a possibility, and of course I wanted it. I just wanted to make sure, that we were ready for something like that. But to me, it's going to be about the same as World Outlaws, the hype. So I just want it to be right, so.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. I'm a little nervous about the time of the year it is, but.
Right.
We, I think we'll be all right. We've done some stuff in that time of the year, our practices or our opening nights, was around there. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Who reached out to who first about the high limit race? Did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you?
They reached out to me. Shane and Brad kind of both. We did a conference call, and I think it was initially started by Brad, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I just know that they had picked several tracks, and we were one of the top tracks that they wanted to come to, and of course that shows by them paying $50,000 to win.
Right, no doubt about it.
Darren, you got 1 year under your belt now as the general manager out there. What did you learn the most after one season of doing this?
Well, Kurt, I will tell you, it's way more than I ever expected. I had some adjustments to make. I did the best I could do, and of course, I put all I had in it. Wasn't perfect. Had some stumbles. Nothing that I couldn't overcome. I did learn one thing. You're not going to please everybody, so just do the best you can do, and that's all you can do.
Darren,
it is a handful.
Darren, if people don't realize what it takes to be a general manager of a racetrack in today's world, it's more challenging now than it's ever been. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And I'm one of them that had really no idea what it took. I mean, I've been around it, and I had somewhat of a general idea, but until I stepped in it, all the way, it's a lot of work. It's, there's so many details that you need to know for that Friday night that have to be in place to make things work. And it's overwhelming. The biggest thing is you've got to have the right people around you. That is key, because one guy can't do it all.
Right. Do you feel like you benefited from being a racer and racing all those years? Do you feel like that kind of helped you through the process a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It gave me a general idea of what needs to happen as far as the races, the program. It was just the promoting side of it, and I had to learn some of that. And but racing for 23 years, I think that was it was something to stand on anyway and build from. Of course, I'm all about my racers. That's number one to me. So that helped me. I know what it takes to race, and I know what they need and what they don't need. So I feel that was something good for me.
We noticed that the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour is going to be running on Friday nights now on your natural night. I think that's going to help them a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, they contacted me and of course wanted some other dates that I had already booked, which I have a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday show. That is, we're bringing back the Jayhawk Classic. I've teamed up with Todd Staley and Melbourne Bank late models on it, so it's going to be a big show. They wanted that weekend. Of course, it's Cup weekend, but it was just a little late, so we got together and I said, I think your better bet's to run with our regular show. Them weekday shows are just they're not a good deal anymore. I don't know that they have ever been that great, but I don't recommend them at all.
Back in the day when Lakeside Speedway was over there on 99th and Leavenworth Road, Lakeside was known as a late model track. Do you ever see that in the future of Lakeside Speedway bringing maybe a spec late model or maybe a brand of a late model to Lakeside Speedway? Do you think that could be in the future of the racetrack?
It is in the future. It was real close to happening this year. I just kind of ran out of time. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. There will be a late model class there next year, whether it's an added or if it replaces something. I don't know that yet, but and that's another gamble I'm going to take. It's not going to be successful the first year because I need to get it out that that is a class that'll run weekly at Lakeside.
Right.
So it'll take them guys some time to get cars together and blah blah blah. But I was in contact with since I-80's no more.
Right.
I was been in contact with Jay with the Melbourne Bank late model stuff, and we were trying to move that to Lakeside Speedway weekly. Just kind of ran out of time, and I didn't get all the way with him that I needed to. So, but I am working on that, and whether it's the Melbourne Bank or if it's a crate late, we will have them next year, and I'm going to run them weekly.
Well, there you have it. That's Darren Bennett, the general manager of Lakeside Speedway. That's pretty big breaking news, I think. Late models in the future at Lakeside Speedway. Lakeside Speedway, when I was growing up, Kirk, was a late model racetrack. They were known for late models when it was over there on Leavenworth Road. And every week when I would go to the races, we'd all watch the late models race. And they had a good group of cars out there back in those days. Remember that?
They did. It's going to be a real challenge to build up the car count in this thing. Who's been really successful at that? Well, the Kosiskis at I-80 Speedway was very successful with their late model class, and they had a great car count up there. But that's up in the Omaha-Lincoln area.
Those guys need a place to race.
Right, but are they going to travel that far to Lakeside Speedway to race on a Friday night?
Well,
some of them will.
First of all,
not all
Lucas Oil Speedway races late models. I-35 Speedway races late models.
What is that rule, the class they have? It's a limited late model class. They call it up at I-35. I'm not sure if the rules they have up there are the same as what they run down at
the point is that there's late models up there. And there's late models at Lucas Oil Speedway, and I think between the Melbourne Bank Series, the guys at I-35, and the guys down at Wheatland, I think that they'll have the first year. I think they'll have somewhere around 10 cars.
Yeah, if they get that, that's pretty good. And he admitted himself
you got to let it grow.
It's not going to be successful the first year.
You got to let it grow,
but you got to be committed to it. And we've said this many times when somebody starts a new class of cars, you better be committed to it over the long term.
Well,
Right.
he's been, not just him, but Lakeside Imperial has been sitting on the Grand Nationals for a long time, so they were patient. I don't see any problem with me. They're not going to have any problem with the patience.
I like what Darren Bennett's doing out there.
The trouble with Grand Nationals at Lakeside Speedway, that's the only place you could run those cars.
Yep.
Lakeside Speedway.
Darren Bennett is the first person to say that Grand Nationals got to go.
Yep.
And the writing's on the wall for the A-Mods.
Yeah, if you want to listen to that full interview, you can pull that up on our Mostly
How
Motors.
long was that interview? About 20 minutes?
Almost 30 full minutes, 26 minutes.
Right.
And we talked, that what you heard was just the very end of it.
Just a
fraction.
scratch.
So, but
Right.
yeah, he does. He mentions that about that, this is what we're going to have to happen out there. I mean, it's just what it is.
Hard to do because the track owner, Don Mars, had a Grand National car.
But he's racing a B-Mod too as well, right? Isn't that what he was running?
He was in like 3 different classes.
Yeah. So I don't see Don will just get him another car. That ain't going to be a problem for Don. I think
Don can afford it.
Yeah, and what I think will need to happen is like you said, Scott, these Grand National guys, there was a bunch of Grand National drivers that have just stopped doing it because it isn't as fun to go out and race against 3 guys, right, or 4 guys, and why bust your butt all week to get that car going and you go
just
out
to
there,
race
and
3 guys.
It's just not, it's not fun.
It needed to go away years ago.
Yeah. When I first started working with you guys, with
they only had 8 or 9 then.
No, you remember with what's his name? We had a TV show, and he had the guy that had the cars that was always looked different.
Right.
What was his name? He had a Batman-looking car. We interviewed him for our Metro Sports show. But
Marshall Jewett.
There you go, Marshall Jewett. And back then, there were still 12, 14 cars. And then from that year on,
it just faded.
It dropped.
A lot of this will have to do with how good the economy is next year or how bad it is.
When they first started running those cars in the early 2000s, there was plenty of them. Because remember, that's when Kerry Davis won the national championship.
Yeah, there was a lot.
They had several of those cars.
And that car had a distinct look, for an outsider. If you didn't know about racing, if you came there, it looked like a different car compared to all the other ones. And
odd shaped.
It was odd shaped. And like Marshall talked about, he did those different, every year he had a different one because he got fans to follow him just because of what his car was. You know what I mean? And so I agree with you, Scott. I think there's going to be enough drivers that are still itching to scratch that itch and want to get back in it.
So Kelly, he just chimed in. He says, if Lakeside went to Saturday night with IMCA sanction, I believe it would have the car counts and the crowd it had in its heyday in the early 2000s. Hobby stock cars, sport mods, and modifieds would be the 4 classes. The lower cost of the cars and the lineup procedures that IMCA uses. Fast cars in the back half of heat races, 5 or 6 rows deep in the feature, would give your budget racers the belief they could finish up front. That's Greg. He's saying that.
If they went to Saturday nights.
Yeah, I don't know if Lakeside could do Saturday.
I don't know if you'll ever see that.
I'm not for that.
No,
I'm not for Lakeside going to Saturday night because there's too many Saturday night tracks already.
Yep. We know they get a lot of people come
There's too
down
many of them.
for Friday as it is.
Weekly racing.
All that would do would kill other racetracks if they went to Saturday night.
I-35 would be hurt pretty bad.
It might snuff out I-35 Speedway.
That wouldn't be good.
And it wouldn't be good for CMS as well.
Yeah, they need to stay right where they're at Friday nights because that's always been a traditionally successful night for Lakeside Speedway to race on.
It's the history of Lakeside.
You got to have somebody race on Friday night. It ought to be Lakeside Speedway.
It's in the city.
The weekly racing programs, I'm very concerned about the future of weekly racing. Just because there are fewer and fewer people getting involved in racing. And we're seeing a lot of the numbers go away as far as car counts at a lot of these weekly racetracks. Where are we going to be in 5 years with weekly racing.
So I'm just going to say it, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. Tri-City is going to be going to specials only this year.
At Pontoon Beach?
Yes, sir.
That's big news.
You're hearing it here first.
Have they made that announcement?
I talked to the owners, and that is what they're going to do.
The Gundakers.
The Gundakers. I talked to Kevin, and he told me that he's got to tell his drivers that they're going to be going to specials only.
Wow.
In the future.
And that's a track that draws great crowds for just about every event that they have over there.
They do a good weekly race.
So they've also taken on the Randolph County Speedway in Moberly.
There's not enough money in running weekly shows. It's not worth the work.
But the Gundakers have also taken on the Randolph County Speedway in Moberly that now Reed Millard owns. So they've got a lot on their plate the way it is. But, yeah, when Tri-City Speedway goes to specials only, that's a traditionally successful weekly track.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I was thinking you might not say it. But did you read Darren Bennett's comment there? Read what he says there.
Lakeside Speedway will never be a Saturday night
No.
track.
No.
That's coming from the
as
general
it
manager.
shouldn't be.
That's a Friday night racetrack.
It's a
Should
Friday
stay
night
that
track.
way.
It's been a Friday
Should
night
stay
track
that way.
its entire life.
Yes.
When I was a kid in the 70s, early 70s, Friday nights, Lakeside Speedway, Saturday nights, Riverside, and then when I-70 run on Sundays, I'd go to I-70 on Sundays.
Yeah, Lakeside Speedway needs to stay a Friday night.
We'd go to Shawnee sometimes on Sundays.
Right.
As well. Did you ever go to Shawnee?
Up
on 40 Highway, just outside of Lawrence?
The what they later called the Topeka Raceway?
Topeka Raceway
yes,
Park.
I
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
I went to it. I thought you were maybe talking about the fairgrounds in Topeka. and I
The
never did
racetrack
see a
that
race
had
there.
Southall got shut down. Remember
Yeah.
that?
I went to some races out
He,
there.
he built a building out there without any permits,
Right.
and they shut him down.
They did.
Right.
Pretty nice building, too, as I recall.
Yeah. I wonder if that racetrack's still there.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Tri-City Speedway. They haven't made that official yet. That they're going to specials only.
I think Greg just chimed in. He said, your average guy can't afford to race 2 nights a week. Saturday would be a winner. But I just would never make Lakeside a Saturday night racetrack.
Well, it's not going to happen.
It would affect the overall atmosphere of Saturday night racing in this town. It would definitely hurt other Saturday
Valley
nights.
Speedway has moved its nights. They ran on Friday night at one
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't compete with Lakeside. They moved to Saturday night. And so what would happen to tracks like that? Central Missouri Speedway would be another racetrack that would be affected.
It would.
By
All
that.
right.
Nah, it's not going to happen, nor should it happen. Lakeside should stay a Friday night racetrack.
All right.
We all agree.
Todd, you want to do the Trenton Berry? Kirk, you want to lead this in?
Trenton Berry is the co-owner of RacinDirt.com. They carry all of the USMTS. If you want to see great modified racing, you go to RacinDirt.com. And Trenton Berry was also, we missed him at the Gateway Dirt Nationals this year.
He
but
was sick.
He was sick with the flu, but he's getting better. And he joined Scott Traylor on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week, and here's a part of that conversation.
Let's talk a little bit about USMTS. Dustin Sorensen, he picks up the championship. He takes home $100,000. He had 5 wins this year. I think it was 25 top 5 finishes in 38 starts. What do you think about Dustin Sorensen winning the championship this year?
Oh, he's took a huge step forward in his racing career this year. He showed that he showed that to me this year. He showed he was a complete racer, and he wasn't just somebody that could just go really good in the mud and maybe when it wasn't muddy. Right.
Right.
That was it. He figured out how to finish races. He figured out if he wasn't going to win, how to be in that top 5. You know, and that's those top 5s you reeled off right there. I mean, I think I talked to him. It felt like every night after the races he was on the front stretch and we were interviewing him. You know, and he put together just a dream season and took huge strides in his program. And I think probably the biggest thing, you know, right there at the end of the year, Jimmy Mars made that announcement that he's going to step out of his seat full time. And so Dustin's, you know, taking over the MB Customs house car program and primarily going to be focused on late models. He's going to the Wild West Shootout in Jimmy's yellow number 28, and that's going to be his job going forward. So obviously he turned enough heads and impressed enough to kind of improve his position within the sport, which, you know, Jimmy needed somebody to put in that seat. So why not Sorensen?
Right.
USMTS, what were the big highlights this year outside of Sorensen winning the championship?
Oh, I think that, you know, I think one of the biggest things, this is kind of an overreaching thing, was just, you know, so many of those 10,000 to win races again this year and big crowds at those events. And, you know, you wanted to see how Derek Ramirez was going to fare coming off a championship. And you know, he lost his dad right at the beginning of the year. And Derek put a lot of pressure on himself early in the year just chasing that first win. And that was a big one on Memorial Weekend at Deer Creek Speedway when he got that. And pretty emotional victory lane that night. But, you know, that was just that was something Derek was going to have to just get crossed off the list there as the season went along. And they settled into a nice groove this year. You know, other things I think about that rookie class this year. Caden Carter, really, you know, who we'd known on IMCA racing, was really, really good. I didn't know if he could compete on this level or not. I figured he probably could, but I didn't know. Had never seen it before. And he did that, and he shined really bright this year. Shane DeVolder ran with Zach Vanderbeek. Dylan Thornton raced as well. Kyle Brown was there too. You know, he builds the Harris cars there out of central Iowa. So I think the rookie crop was pretty impressive, and a lot of those guys are getting ready to come back this year too. So, you know, just kind of off the top of my head, those are some of the things. Tanner Mullins obviously winning $20,000 there at Lakeside in honor of Grant Younghands was huge. That's the single biggest one-day race on the schedule. So that was quite the event that night.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear about the High Limit Series going to Lakeside Speedway, and they're going to pay $50,000 to win at Lakeside on April 11th?
All right. So I saw that late last night. That's pretty insane in an awesome way. Don't you guys think that's cool? I think that's cool.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, for sure.
I think that high limit deal is going to be pretty wild, and definitely must see events. And yeah, I think that's so awesome. And that Lakeside's the first race, right?
Right, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, which would be just. I mean, they'll probably parked on the railroad tracks for that one, you know.
Oh, there's no doubt. That'd be a giant crowd out there for that race.
Yeah. For sure.
Nothing different than we've seen for the Grant Younghands Memorial or even the last World of Outlaw race in October that was about as packed as anything I've ever seen.
It might take you 6 months to get out of the parking lot.
Well, just plan on being there for the long haul once you get in.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think it's cool. I really like. And I think you guys probably appreciate this too. I like a lot of the new ideas that are coming into racing. You know what I mean? And
no doubt.
People trying new things and tracks and events, and you know that whole well, why can't we motto? You know, racing was kind of stagnant there for a little bit, and I'd say right now we're probably anything but stagnant. You know, there are people trying and thinking outside of the box more than more than I've probably ever seen in my time. You know.
Trent, do you think more racetracks are going to be going to specials only in the future? Do you see that coming?
Man, I don't really. That's tough, you know, because yeah, that's probably the easy answer for a lot of places. But my gosh, you've got to you've got to have places that have a strong weekly program as the backbone of the sport. You know what I mean? And I don't know that I necessarily really want to say that. I definitely could see a roadmap for how that could happen. I don't think that's a great scenario. But it's tough for a lot of these to make it. Racing was a little different this year, and it was down a little bit from what it had been the past couple of years. So, I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility for some places here and there. Although I hope I don't see too much of it.
There you have it. That's Trenton Berry. He is the co-owner of RacingDirt.com. They do a lot of the USMTS races. And the big news, I think, this year, if you go back and you listen to that interview in its entirety, is that USMTS is going to be doing a lot of 3-day shows this year. And that's putting your neck out on the line right there, to be honest with you. Because, to me, outwardly looking in, I would never promote a 3-day show. Not even a 2-day show. A 1-day show, I feel like people show up for the 1-day show, but when it's a 2-day show, the crowd always seems to be a little thin on the first night.
Yeah, for the racers, it's a great thing. If you got them all in one location, they don't have to travel from
tow.
Race to race. The big challenge is getting crowd attendance for all 3 nights, like, for instance, that event out at Lakeside Speedway. We'll see how it goes. That's a Cup weekend, that NASCAR Cup weekend, so there's already supposedly going to be a lot of people in town. We hope so. That would help fill the stands for that. The King of America is another race. These big special events, they draw good crowds on the other nights besides the championship night, but unless it's a major event, it's a real challenge for the promoters to draw fans for all of those multiple night shows.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. And our final interview is Steve Post, who joins us each and every week on Wednesday. He'll still be a part of our show on Mondays, right?
That's what he said.
Our new show, just so you know, is going to start on the 9th, and it's going to be once a week, and it's going to be a 2-hour show or whatever, how long it is. It doesn't. We're going to start it, and then we'll just go until we're done. It most likely will be a 2-hour show because we'll probably play a lot of that show on Saturday mornings, right?
We'll go as long as we can go.
We'll just keep burning rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? We don't have a set time for that show.
No.
But Steve Post talked about
more work for you, Todd.
Right. Yeah. Or Todd, if Todd's got to leave, then we'll cut it down. Steve Post talked about MRN at the PRI show, and he's the host of Wing Nation, and he was at the PRI show, and he talked about that in the weekly conversation earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports.
Rico is not on the Keith Coons Motorsports entry list right now. We know that Christopher Bell's not going to be there, and I think Christopher Bell is really trying to focus on his Cup career more than open wheel racing at this point. And we know that Kyle Larson's not going to be there. This opens up an opportunity for a lot of other people to win that race, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Sunshine told me he's not running the Chili Bowl. Tyler Courtney's not running the Chili Bowl, and I'm not sure what the status of Clausen Marshall Racing is. So there might be some more opportunities raised up as well. But this is still the Chili Bowl. This is still the marquee midget race of the year. This is still a Golden Driller. And with a couple of those cars gone, it's just going to open the door for some of these guys that were, some of these guys that were 10 to 20th place drivers are going to be sniffing around in the top 5 or maybe a win in this thing.
Right.
And I just think that's awesome. I tend to fall under the category, and this is the same real discussion with the high limits and same discussion. I tend to think that if we balance this thing properly and don't over glutton the market with races, and we're certainly not doing that with the Chili Bowl. It's 1 week a year, but I just think that more opportunities for more racers to race up front is not a bad thing. And I think with some of the notables stepping aside and for various reasons not running the Chili Bowl, right. I think that it opens the doors, and we may have the best winning story coming out of the Chili Bowl. Yeah, I mean, here's the reality of it is the winning story coming out of the Chili Bowl is never a shocker. Maybe Tanner Thorson a little bit, although he's been so good.
Right.
Kyle Larson, that he finally got the win, but then you had Christopher Bell doing what he did, and Rico doing what he did. You know, do we get a real true upset winner this year? Maybe we do. And
right.
How does that play? I mean, I think that's phenomenal. So let's let this thing play out. There's going to be a golden driller on the line, and there's going to be 300 plus, 400 plus sprint car or midget cars going for it. And yeah, some of the name brands are not going to be there, but I think it's still going to be a heck of a show.
Do you think Kyle had a big influence on some of these drivers?
Kyle is fascinating to me because when you look. The crux of the issue with the Chili Bowl with him and the crux of the issue with the World of Outlaws right now is all about money. It's
right.
all about money.
Right.
Kyle has been very open, very black and white about the Chili Bowl. But honestly, the whole high limits thing came about because he was out running these midweek late model shows and running for $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to win. And that's what kind of crux started the whole high limits thing with more money in sprint cars. So Kyle is kind of the Pied Piper here on a lot of this. I don't know what his impact. I think the impact in the sprint car world is likely huge because if this high limit thing goes and if it does pull teams off from the World of Outlaw Platinum agreement, then it was a major impact here. I don't know about the Chili Bowl. When you look at it, not hearing from Rico. I'm with you on Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, when we get to Phoenix next year, could be the Cup Series champion.
Right.
And you win that Cup Series championship, you never have to worry about your legacy in the sport again.
Right.
You are forever a Cup Series champion, and there comes a lot with that, like funding your own sprint car team if you choose to. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that Christopher, if indeed he's not, and that's the thing, I think his is different. Tyler Courtney is going to be down under racing. I chatted with him at PRI. So maybe Larson's had a little impact, or maybe his was just, okay, it's all right not to just jump on a plane every January and go to Tulsa. And so maybe it's not a direct impact, but maybe it's it's all right to miss it here or there. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But I find it interesting that the two of the big issues we have with Chili Bowl and World of Outlaws are money, and Kyle Larson is involved in both of them. And 0% of this is a slam on Kyle Larson. Kyle, if getting more money to racers is not a bad thing. How you do it may be
right.
up for debate, but getting more money to racers is never a bad thing.
Kirk and I have decided we're going to talk about the drivers that are going to be there instead of the ones that are not going to be there.
They're going to give us a great show.
Right.
I mean, the racing, the Chili Bowl is going to be awesome. And again, we might come out of there with a didn't see that coming story with a guy winning it.
Right.
And how big would that be?
Yeah.
So I think that the Chili Bowl will be just fine. And we're going to be, when we get to the middle of January, that's all we're going to be talking about. And I'm with you. Talk about the drivers that are there racing because they're going to put on a show and give us a lot to talk about.
What do you think about Kyle Busch going to race the Tulsa Shootout with his son Braxton? That'll be cool.
I just think Kyle Busch is awesome with what he's doing. He has just fallen in love. I talked to him at Media Tour last year in January, February, whenever it was, preseason Media Tour. And he went out to the Tulsa Shootout last year. And I said, what'd you think of the Tulsa Shootout? Oh, they got to do this, and oh, they got to do that. Oh, they got to do this. And, he's opinionated. And
right.
His opinion was that, we're there way too long for what we're doing. And that's a valid point, although I don't know how you put all those cars through the process without being there for a while.
Long days.
But yes, they are long days. But the underlying point that I got out of talking to Kyle is his passion for dirt track racing and micro racing. Wow. He was all ate up about it.
There you have it, Steve Post. He joins us each and every Wednesday on Mostly Motorsports. Wednesday will be his final appearance on the show this next Wednesday, but
for this year.
And we're going to be taking a couple weeks off, aren't we, Kurt?
Yeah, you deserve it, especially.
I don't know about that.
We're all going to take
We're
some time
taking
off.
some time off.
Yep, we're gonna kick back and recharge our juices, and we'll be back for the Chili Bowl, and we'll be raring to go.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Have we ever take 2 weeks off before?
No, never.
I'm not since I've been with you. No.
I can't remember ever doing it.
No. That's why I told my wife, I said, this is unprecedented. We need
That's
to do
because
something.
New Year's Eve falls on a Saturday, right?
Yep, but both of these holidays happen to fall.
And Christmas, is it on a Saturday?
Well, it's
on a Sunday.
Sunday.
But
Christmas and New
Christmas
Year's Day
Eve-
are on Sundays.
but Christmas Eve.
We're still going to be, even though we're going to take some time off, there's still racing going on. You have the Tulsa Shootout.
Yes, sir.
Got the Junior Knepper 55 tonight. It's going to be on Dirt Vision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is racing.
How are I on Dirt Vision?
How about Miami and Buffalo tonight?
3 big games football today.
But Miami-Buffalo is
Big
the
game
one that
tonight.
matters to us the most.
I don't see Miami going into Buffalo on a snowy day to
Hey, Paul, how
beat
you
the
doing,
Buffalo
bud?
Bills. I don't see that happening.
Yep,
My
that's why
boy
they play
Paul
it.
Nelson just chimed in. Says, hey, he's good morning from the Tulsa Expo, he said.
How about that?
How
Got
about
people
that?
down there working.
Right.
We say hi to everybody, our Tulsa fans.
The track is in, right?
It is
Yeah,
in.
I put some pictures up. We had some photos. I'll
Right.
pull them back up again. But yeah, it's looking good down there. Actually, we talked about earlier on that video. They talked about how that dirt was a little wet when they first got it in. They had to spread that out. But he says they're all up and ready to roll now.
Old
so
Gravel will do his work on that track.
that's what he said. He had it turned
Get
over.
it all
to-
trimmed up. ready to
Gravel's
go.
the best.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. Can you imagine running as many micros on that racetrack in the first week and then running all the midgets the following week?
Can you
After
believe
that.
that 2 weeks from today will be the final day of the shootout? They'll have gone
You know-
4 long days of racing.
One thing that
leading
Kirk
up to
and
2
I
weeks from today.
One thing Kirk and I do not miss out on is the stress of doing the pay-per-view for the broadcast. We don't miss that, do we, Kirk?
No, I mean it was fun while it lasted, but
Yeah.
Flo's doing a great job with that. They did an outstanding job covering these events a year ago, and they're going to do it again. And they're ready to roll for 4 full days of racing at the Tulsa Shootout and 6 nights of racing at the Chili Bowl.
We'll let Flo deal with all that.
Yeah.
It's just, I see that picture and I don't know.
The grind of setting up and doing all that broadcast.
People just have no idea. I mean, we're not complaining. We loved it, but it was literally a ball buster. That
So
whole week.
is Caleb Harp going to be back
He
doing
is.
the shootout?
He is.
Chili Bowl? Good.
That's good.
Caleb Hart is so good, man. He is really exceptional at what he does. You know, I got complaints about him being a little nasally, but the thing about Caleb Hart is his wealth of knowledge that he has.
How about Clinton Boyles? Is he going to be?
I hope Clinton
helping
Boyles.
out?
I hope they use him a little bit this year.
He was a great analyst.
Man,
His
he
name
is
on the
good.
list of entries for the Chili Bowl. So
Yeah, he's going to be in the Chili Bowl himself, and of
Yep.
course he was the one of the main guys that helped Justin Grant win Turkey Night.
Absolutely.
This year.
it ought to be a good Chili Bowl. I can't imagine that just because a few drivers. We know how it is when you're in the media center and they bring in those drivers every year. There's the top 3 every night are quality drivers that they bring
Right.
in there. So any one of those top 5 guys any night has a chance to win that Saturday night A-Main. So
I might just record the presser.
You could do what you want.
And replay it.
Yeah, that press conference, that people don't realize that press conference back in the day, boy, the dignitaries that show up out there at
Right.
the Chili Bowl and all the bigwigs and the mayors and the shaking hands people. They all come out. Boy, they're all there, and all the news stations are there, and it's
that event brings in a lot to the Tulsa economy.
Paul said the dirt is dry, needs moisture.
Well,
there you go.
It's it's that time of the year.
Gravel will take care of it.
Yeah, it's when you're in the middle of winter like this, things tend to dry out, especially if you're in a building and the air gets moving around in there.
I rarely. We've only been out of 11 years we were down, but I was with you guys down there. I only remember 1 year people having an issue with the track, with you know what I mean.
Gravel's too good.
Isn't it better to have the dirt too dry
Yes, sir.
at this point, and you can add to it? Sometimes if it's already naturally wet and coming in, it's hard to
pull that
dry
moisture
it out. So much as it is to add water to it. I don't know. What do you think?
I'd rather have to add water to it.
Yeah, I think so. And it's different. It all depends on the weather conditions when the
moisture.
dirt is brought in.
Right.
Versus, we've seen some years where it snowed, during the time that they brought it in, or it rained.
Paul said the first 20 loads were ugly wet.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Some of the posts that they said they really had to spread that out to get it out. But
they've got that down to a science now. They truck all that dirt in.
Right.
They get the traffic lights working properly to help speed up the process. So when they bring all those trucks in there and dump that dirt out there, I mean, the same people have done this for years.
Right.
And it is quite a process to watch. We've been down there early enough to set up for a broadcast. We watch how that all goes down, and boy, these guys do a great job.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Putting that venue together.
So, where are you going for Christmas, Kurt?
I'm not sure yet. Probably to Mount Air.
Mount Air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get to where I can see everybody.
Yeah.
And there are different locations this year, but that's where I'm going to headquarter out of.
So next week is going to be our final week of doing Mostly Motorsports daily.
That's it.
Next week is the final week.
Yeah, this is our last week for shows for Track Talk, and
then we'll come back on the 9th, and we're going to do our show on Mondays at noon.
Yep.
Right?
Now, Tuesday, we've got Drew Erkenbrack from the Belleville High Banks coming on the show.
Man, that's going to be great.
To talk about the plans for 2023.
The Midget's going to run on the little track this year.
USAC Midgets and Silver Crown cars.
Silver Crowns are going to run on the big track, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. That'll be in May. So he'll talk about that and some of the other events that are on the 2023
Might have to
calendar
run out
for
there for
Belleville.
that race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a great weekend to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Lloyd Collins, we're working on Lloyd to sit in on a show.
Lloyd isn't going to
Talk
come
about
up
old
here.
times.
we're going to get him to drive
I
in
think
like
I
the
might
old
talk
days.
him
He's
into it.
gonna
Lloyd,
put
if
us
you're
out.
listening,
Huh?
we've got you penciled in for later in the week. Please come and join us.
He won't come up here.
We got an extra chair
He's
for
scared.
you. You roll on in.
He's scared.
We need to tell some stories.
We used to have Lloyd in when we were at the old studio.
Lloyd used to sit in with us all the
We had
time.
Lloyd. We had a few people. We actually had quite a few in Troy Harrison. Is that his name?
Troy, yeah.
Would come in and
Yeah, Troy used to sit in from time to time.
he even helped fill in one weekend when you were gone. He helped come
Right.
in.
I haven't spoken with Troy for a while.
I haven't either.
Hope he's doing well.
Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well in this holiday season. I think that we made it through it. We made it through the year.
Right.
I'm sorry to say that we lost a lot of our dear friends this year.
Yeah, it's been a tough
too
year.
many.
It's been a really
Too
tough
many.
year, but to everybody who made it through this year, hope you have a great 2023, man.
Yeah,
must be
no
a-
doubt about it. Yeah, looking forward to that. Got any other news you want to get out there, Kurt?
Other than tonight at the DeCoin Center, some big midget racing going on tonight. Be interesting to see who shows up at that event.
Junior Knepper 55.
I would guess Cannon McIntosh will be there tonight.
Did you see where the USAC sprint cars are going to pay $50,000 to win? Midget National Championship is going to pay $30,000 to win, and the Silver Crown Championship is going to pay $20,000 to win this year.
The
Next year.
championship, the
Next
points
year.
races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lloyd said he's good to go, weather permitting. As long as we don't get our snow in next week, we're.
I'll
good.
believe it when I see it.
when you see the big man walking in the door.
Right.
Now we want to rejuvenate some old times here, Lloyd.
Need to get another microphone in here.
We can do it.
Yes, sir.
Our one mic stand fell apart.
Yeah, blew up and you were off that weekend, and so I was talking quite a bit. I moved the mic stand one time, and boom, it flew off in my hand, and I'm holding it. Kirk didn't even know it broke. I held it together for the whole show like this, and talked, and I put it back together, and then
I need to go out and get another mic stand.
And old Kirk said, "What happened? Did that break?" I said, "Yeah, I broke right in the middle. Of bolts and everything flew everywhere." But
right.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We're in good shape back here.
All right. So Monday is going to be Monday through Friday next week is going to be our final daily Mostly Motorsports show, and then we're going to come back on the 9th, and our show will start at 12 noon on Mondays. And it'd be 2 hours long, and it'd be Kirk, myself, along with Todd Surprise, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to back it down a little bit. We did 312 episodes this year.
Between that and Track Talk, there was a lot of 312.
Yeah, we'll do a wrap up of the shootout and a preview,
Yes,
since
sir.
that is the first day of the Chili Bowl, the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl.
6 days a week we did this year.
Yep. Hopefully, with the shootout wrapped up, maybe if somebody I'd like to see old Blake Hahn pick him up another driller. We get old Blake Hahn on maybe
Right.
the first episode of.
Might just do that.
Because he'll be down there, obviously getting ready for the Chili Bowl. So I mean,
We'll definitely talk to Blake down there.
He's won more drillers at the shootout than anybody. Has
anybody.
he not?
Yes, sir.
He has.
Is he the record holder at the
He
shootout?
is the record holder. I think 9 or 10. He's got a lot
He
of
knows
them.
how to get around the.
He's done it in just about
Tulsa
everything,
Expo
too.
Raceway.
every class.
Yeah, he's run everything. All right, folks. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, next week will be our final daily show for Mostly Motorsports. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And today's show, Track Talk, has been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works as well. All right, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday, the final week of Mostly Motorsports, the daily show. We hope that you'll join us next week, starting Monday through Friday. We'll see then, and we'll see you later. Have a Merry Christmas.
Track Talk.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.